Hey everyone, Chris Bounds here with the Invested Agents podcast. I'm here with Arian Lemire, a friend of mine. We met a few years back at a mutual mastermind that we were part of, and got to know each other pretty well over the years. She's spoken at an event that we had, a virtual event last month. It's going to be speaking at the Invested Agents Summit coming up January 15th, and wanted to get with her and actually have a sit down, kind of like break down her business and her background and share her amazing story. So a little about Arian. She's co-owner of GH Houses with her husband, Chris, where they and their team wholesale and flip over 100 houses a year. 100 houses a year. And this next stat's probably a little dated. I would like to get that update. But so they own 50 rental properties, and they're partners in over 1,100 multifamily units. And as amazing as that is, in just a few short years, they've actually gone from $50,000 in debt to financially free. Having achieved financial freedom, Arian's now focused on a new project called Wealth Gem, where she provides a lot of free, valuable education content on money, finances, investing, real estate, and everything in between to empower others to achieve financial freedom. So how you doing, Arian?
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris. Appreciate that awesome intro. Can't believe it's been a few years since we've known each other. And Jamie, it's crazy.
I know. Okay, so since we last talked, the 50 rental properties and 1,000 plus multifamily units, what is that number now?
Yeah, so it's over 1,400 now. We actually closed on a 260 plus unit portfolio a couple weeks ago at this point in Arkansas. So that puts us up to the 1,400 range. We're super excited because and that's a project we've been working with for a while now. And then we have some great investors who invested with us on that. So we're excited to get to work and get this project running.
Okay, that's been crazy. Another stat that I wanted to get an update, and I don't know if you know it offhand, but roughly, rough ballpark, how many houses do you think you've flipped or wholesaled over the years?
Over the years, probably more than 500. But yeah, it's crazy. And it's all from learning from other people, right? Like the people who are listening to this podcast and the people who are interested in going to the summit, we didn't come from not knowing anything at all about real estate to flipping 100 houses a year, right? It came from listening to podcasts, going to a lot of online events and in-person events to actually learn the little bits and pieces, right? Because if somebody's new right now, or maybe they're flipping a house a year, like we were there too. Mm-hmm. And it didn't happen overnight, right? So I think it's important for people to remember that use the motivation when you hear someone like this, when they're doing hundreds of houses a year and have thousands of units, use that as the motivation. But I think sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking that we're just so far away. And whenever that happens to me, I just have to switch it. Hold on. I just need to take the motivation piece and I want to get there one day. But right now I'm on step 1, right? Learning how to flip a house, or step 1, learning how to buy rentals. And that's really what I need to focus on. So I just wanted to insert that little tidbit there.
I love it. A lot of people do that. They'll look at the top 1% of the world and they'll aspire to that and then want to do what they do, or as they'll either think that's impossible, or through the journey they realize, hey, this is too hard, I'll never get there. But they don't need to, there's 6 billion people in the world, and if you have the internet and a computer, you're better off than 4 billion of them already. So you don't have to compare yourself to the top 1%. But if you do, and if you do want to strive to be that level, or just greater than you are now, and improve yourself, just start from the beginning, because they did that too. Most of them started very, very humbly. They didn't. Most people are self-made. They didn't start with a silver spoon, and I know you haven't. You've got a very unique background and story before real estate and all this stuff. So what is your background? Can you share with folks on how you got started, or actually not how you got started, but your background and just the evolution before this whole real estate craziness.
Yeah. So I guess from the very beginning, like, I was born in the Philippines, moved to New Zealand, met my husband Chris, and that's where we started here in the US, right? And we started like most people. We were taught to get good grades, get a good job, and live the American dream, right? And that's what we did. Now we realized that we had $50,000 in debt when we started the American dream of being married. And we had great careers. I was a speech therapist. Chris was a software developer. So from the outside looking in, we should have had like an amazing, thriving life, but we actually felt really trapped, right? There was all that debt, $50,000 in like student loan debt that was high interest. And then my family, since I'm from the Philippines and New Zealand, we couldn't see them. We didn't have the money to see them. We didn't have the time off to see them. And we just couldn't imagine, when we had children, right? Like we're planning to have children, for them to not know half of their family just because we couldn't get time off or have the money to fly them halfway across the world. So that's what sparked our initial real estate investment like bug, I guess, right? So we started researching, we listened to so many podcasts, looked at so many forums, and just tried to learn everything we could. And we came across buying rental properties. So we're like, oh, this is it. We're going to buy this amount of rental properties, and then we'll have passive income. And that's how we're going to retire. And our initial plan was to retire in like 15 years. So we're just going to do that. And once we started doing it, we bought 2 or 3 rentals. We ran out of money because, apparently it takes money to buy rentals. And that's when we started flipping houses. And we learned how to do that too, built that into a business. So now our team pretty much runs the flipping houses and wholesaling houses business. And we get to focus more on what we love, which is buying more rental properties.
I love it. Okay. So it's an amazing background, amazing story. When you were growing up and as you're, I guess, going to move to the United States, what did you consider, like, if you can put yourself back in that position, like, what did you consider success? Like, hey, if this happened, like, I made it. Like, I'm good.
Well, before I considered just making enough money to support my family was success. Like, I was so thrilled to make like minimum wage, my first, real job, right, at a call center. That was exciting. And then the next step after that was just having enough to be able to see family, right? Like have enough money so that we could travel and actually see the family we haven't seen. So it's definitely changed over the years. But it's just, I think the other piece that changed is now instead of having a goal of making a certain amount of money, I want to make a certain amount of passive money, right? So passive income. Instead of trading my time for money, now whenever I make money, like let's say I flip a house, right? And maybe I make $20,000. Instead of saying I have $20,000, I really look at what can I invest that $20,000 into that I don't have to do any work towards, right? Like I don't have to have the business of flipping a house. I can just invest it passively in an investment property and it gets me a certain amount of return. So really the $20,000 will get me usually like around $2,000 return passively forever.
So that's the way you make money does matter.
Right. Yeah. And then you can do something else. You can do what you love. Like you're making all this content for other people, right? Like that could be something you do, what you're really passionate about, instead of something you just have to do because you need to make another paycheck.
Yeah. So how has being content helped you, or maybe define content in the way that you've gone in your journey? How has that helped you through the journey to where you are now and financially free and you've got rentals and focusing on passive?
So when we talk about contentment, I think there's this, I think what the better word might be like realizing what we value, right? Because we can like, it's always good to want to be better and to strive to be a better you in everything, right? Be a better wife, a spouse, better business owner, better investor. But I think what we discovered early on is what we value is what we should put our money towards and our time towards. So if like our goal was to have financial freedom, right? Like we wanted to get there ASAP so that we didn't have to work for time, trade our time for money anymore, and we can visit family and travel and do what we wanted to do, right? So instead of buying the bigger house or buying the expensive like SUV, right? That like some people were doing, like some of our software developer and speech therapist friends were doing at the time, we just said, you know what, like those are great. We can have those later. But right now, what we actually value is retiring early and being able to go to New Zealand for a month if we want to, right? So we put our value there, and that's what we got in the first few years, right? And then now, if we want to buy the SUV and the house, the bigger house, whatever, we can. Mm-hmm. But we just decided what was more important, what was more valuable to us.
Yeah, because really, and folks, it's more impulsive, I would imagine, or keeping up with the Joneses. Owning those things, those doodads, is like Robert Kiyosaki calls them. They really end up owning you. Now, I mean, you've got different types of debt. I mean, you probably have debt on your real estate, but it's producing money and it's covering not only your expenses, but plus some, versus the bigger house for yourself or the car or whatever. It's not. And if you don't have that passive income, then that just means you have to work, spend your time, your effort and energy servicing that debt.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's really important to know, like, sometimes people hear the people who talk about financial freedom, like it sounds like they're just delaying gratification forever and ever and ever, right? And sometimes people think that, oh, I don't want to be like those people who are just buying these assets because like you have to live too, right? Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes like we try to go to different extremes, right? Like the people who do want passive income, they're not just not spending it, right? Like you're going to enjoy it at some point, but there is a point in time where you choose not to buy doodads, right? Mm-hmm. Instead you buy assets. Then your assets can buy doodads later. So it's just, which one do you pick first?
You probably found ways to enjoy the process without having to just splurge and buy things that were going to set you several paces back. What were some of the things that you would do? I'll give you a personal example. So like the flip that we did that was able to let us go full time was a rental property, and it appreciated over time. It was like $80,000 when we closed it. Good deal. I could have gone out and bought a new truck or whatever. I'm pretty sure my truck at this time had half of it had no air conditioning. At some point, I don't remember exactly when the timeline was, but half of it in Texas had no air conditioning. That was not fun. I didn't do that. It was fine. It was paid off. We did buy basically like a little mini cappuccino machine, or it's like a mini Starbucks in our house. That was nice. Still love it. But that was the way that we were able to take a little bit, enjoy life, and then reinvest everything else back into the business. But what were some maybe smaller things that y'all use to enjoy that process?
Yeah, so we're really big foodies and we like travel. Mm-hmm. So before whenever we'd celebrate a milestone, right, like selling a flip or our first wholesale, we would take a small piece of that and go out to dinner at a place we haven't tried before, right? And for us, it's really not even like the money we spend. It's doing something new with each other. So it's myself and my husband. Yeah, right? We just enjoy doing something new. And then usually we'll go out and like sightsee somewhere near that new place, right? We'll go on a hike or take a walk on the beach or something. And, it doesn't, like, yeah, it costs a little bit of money, right? But it's not all of the profit, but we still got to enjoy it and celebrate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as if you're spending all the profit, then you just, at that point, you're not growing. You're not growing the nest egg. So I like that. Okay. What would you say to others listening or watching that looking at this, and we talked about this a little bit in the beginning, but they may be looking at this saying that you've had the easy path to success?
I know I'm for sure like incredibly blessed, right? To even just live in this country with so much opportunities. It's definitely like a huge blessing. And the thing is, like, everything's relative, right? Like, no matter where you start, there's a reason why you're there, right? Just think about, like, whatever you're going through right now, everybody's going through something right now, especially in 2020. We're going to say goodbye to 2020 soon, but there's something, right? And whatever that pain is, like for me, like that pain was not making enough money to like see my family when we had an emergency. Like that was like so painful for me. And I used that pain to drive me to ultimately get what I needed to have so that wouldn't happen again. So like everybody's in a different state, right? Maybe you're in debt right now. You don't know how to get out of it. Or maybe you're in just like a job or a career that you don't know how you could have financial freedom from that job, right? Whatever that is, like just draw from that, draw from that pain and use it to propel you forward. Because there's so many different ways. And if you are going to go to the summit, you're going to learn about like 10 different ways to figure out something to increase your income, right? Whether it's active or passive. So use your pain as inspiration and help yourself propel forward into that new thing you're going to do.
Because pain is a double-edged sword. So for folks like what you just described, use that as fuel. A lot of people use it as excuses, because if you want an excuse, you'll always find one. Regardless of where you are in life, you'll always find one. But instead, if you can use that as fuel to figure it out, like you are where you are, there's no changing that. Regardless of whatever your situation, there's no changing your current state, but you can change tomorrow.
Right. I also want to add just like habits, right? Like Chris, you run Ironman races, and I'm like, wow, how am I supposed to do that? Right? I'm just starting like this fitness journey, and I think what's important when you're starting something is just put in place little habits, right? So maybe you want to buy a real estate deal. Well, it doesn't have to be, I have to buy a real estate deal next week, right? Maybe start saying, I'm going to spend 5 minutes each day looking at realtor.com or looking at the stuff my agent sent me or studying for the agent class, right? Like just that 5 minutes a day, that habit is what helps you get there, right? Like that's super, super important because it's really the minutes each day that add up to what we eventually achieve. Not like it's not going to happen all in one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, you take that 5 minutes, 15 minutes or chapter, a book or whatever, like if you did that every day for 365 days, like how much smarter are you going to be or more educated and get a clear idea of whatever that subject matter is, history, real estate, finance. It's going to happen. Now what you do with it is still the X factor. Okay. So what are your latest project, Wealth Gym? What is Wealth Gym?
So Wealth Gym is this thing we created when we saw that, hey, we have passive income and now we can help ourselves, right? We do what we want with our time, but we can also now help other people. And so we're able to like give to different causes. And one day we just realized that, hey, like, yeah, we can help. Like in our area, we help like a charity that supports siblings who have to go to like foster care, right? So instead of like parting ways, let's imagine this, like you were just taken away from your parents and then you have a little sister and then you guys have to be separated too, right? So that charity helps them stay together. But anyway, so we can help that charity, but we realize that what if we can help other people support the things that they care about, right? Their families and then other causes too. So that's where Wealth Gym started. Like we just wanted to share everything we've learned in the last 10 years of real estate investing, managing our money, managing our finances to grow wealth and have financial freedom so that others can do that for themselves and for others too. So that's what that is. I have a YouTube channel if you guys want to check out like what that content looks like.
Yeah, well, go ahead and share that. So, like, how can people connect with you? Because you're putting out tons of content on multiple different platforms, and you're definitely very giving with your time and information. So, how can people connect with you or reach out to you or
Yeah. So go to youtube.com/ask Ariane, and you'll see all the different videos on financial freedom and real estate investing. And then I'm also on TikTok, Ariane Lemire, and Instagram, Ariane Lemire.
All right.
I'll
So
see you guys there.
I'll put links to those in the notes. So be sure to reach out. Well, Aaron, it was a real pleasure. It's been fun. I really hope all this COVID stuff like eases up so we can hang out live and in person sometime. So you can get your it's that tapioca or
Oh yeah, boba tea.
boba tea. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I know
there's a lot of places in Houston. We need to take you guys.
There are, yeah. Oh, that was the last time we saw each other. Actually, I think it was breakfast. That popped up in my news feed. I think it was like on your birthday or Chris's birthday.
Hey, we're gonna be in Houston. I think probably April.
Okay.
So we'll see you there.
We'll be here. Yeah, hang out. All right, appreciate it. I will see you in January.